Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to take a look at small plays that you probably didn't know that can win you games. And we're going to start with the Silent Heaven drop on Overpass. You actually can drop out of heaven here silently if you drop correctly while holding D as you surf down to the ground. If you notice, I just didn't make noise there. You can do this in a little bit more of a reasonable way with a rifle. If you step forward, then drop down while holding S. If you're playing long A on Dust 2 and want to throw a flash for yourself, you can come into this corner here. Your back will be turned so you're not getting flashed by T's, and you can take a shift step forward and throw a flash like that. That's going to bounce around the corner, and especially if there is a smoke thrown from the T's, that will blow up behind the smoke, blind a ton of people, and give you some space. One small thing a lot of people didn't know is that flashes that land too deep in middle here aren't going to actually blind someone posted from top mid boxes. So if you look at a flash like this that's going to be thrown from window and will land inside of window, you're going to notice that although it looks like it will blind all of mid, if you're up over here, or even over on this side as well, this is simply not going to blind you more than a fraction and not really going to give much of an advantage to this player window. And little do most people know, you actually need to get flashes pretty far out from window to blind these players. Even a flash like that won't actually really blind someone, especially if they're along this back wall. You can see the entire time. What you really want are flashes that land past this bench, so something like this can be thrown from a player in window, and it will actually blind someone towards top mid boxes at least a little bit, but they even need to go further if you want to full blind that player, and so you probably want teammates throwing flashes over from A to actually get these flashes. A few more things on Mirage. You can actually see through this crack into market and see people crossing, and they basically can't see anything as the crack is incredibly small and nobody's really looking there. Another thing you can do is you can jump on top of these shelves here from window and look towards window or towards back market, but what most people don't know is that you can actually use a smoke below you as a one-way, and you're just about impossible to see from anywhere over top of that. A similar one-way, if you come over to here on apartments, this is for CT side, aim near the top of this window and right-click a smoke. If you get on top of this chest, it's going to be just about impossible to see you, but this is a perfect one-way. This is one a lot of people do know already, so you have to worry at least a little bit about people spamming it. However, if you're not playing someone from like 2014, 2015, when this first became common, they might not really know it that well. There's a couple of cool things you can do towards ladder on train. First of all, you can come over here and flash for yourself on a rush, which is as this passes the right side of your screen, you turn and bank a flash off about the middle of this door, and that's going to drop down into ladder and blind anyone that's pushing in. The other thing you can do is you can come to this corner here, especially this works well if the windows are already broken by your team so that they don't make noise. So you come to this corner here, aim right about here and jump throw, and that's going to go straight through the window and blind anyone that's holding, outside ladder, E-box, trying to catch you as you're making your way out. On Inferno, there's quite a few cool things, but first off, you have a Furious Smoke, and this is a little bit spawn dependent. You want your second best spawn to come here and throw this smoke from the bottom corner there, and that's going to be a one-way for your Opera to peek out with towards car. And it's not a perfect one-way, however, especially if you combine it with the Opera throwing a deep Molotov off the back wall, it is just about impossible for anyone to see that Opera, even though, again, not a perfect one-way, it's almost a perfect one-way. The next thing up is the Ben Tet angle. So if you come to this angle here, close to second oranges, although it doesn't seem like a great angle, if you put a bot in that location, you're going to see why it's so strong. You basically can't shoot this player in the head. It's actually ridiculous how hard it is to hit that player in the head, and from a lot of different angles and a lot of different situations, they're actually impossible to hit in the head. Call that the Ben Tet angle. Over on the A side, you have the self boost onto porch here. If you come onto the railing here onto the shadow, put your crosshair on the right side of the flower pot, and then just go for a run jump, and you'll self boost up onto the railing. Another interesting play you can make if you're trying to peek towards window is you can throw a smoke like this, and what that's going to do is that's going to put out any mollies that have already landed in towards boiler and give you a peek out onto alt middle. So the way this can actually look is if you throw a molly here, or if your opponents would have thrown a molly like that, you're going to see it's going to put it out, and especially if it lands normally and it's already up, when you throw this smoke, it'll extinguish it fairly easily. As well, there's a couple of one-ways you can throw from inside of sight here. If you right-click a smoke at this arrow, this is going to be a one-way from back sight boxes here. And if you're on top of the box here and you left-click a smoke at the top of this arrow, that's also going to be a bit of a one-way here on the left side of the box. Back to Mirage, if you're ever trying to boost into apartments, rather than having a player come here, crouching, and then standing up and doing a double jump on top, if you have someone sit just outside of this little line here, just on that left, you're going to be able to jump from the site onto their head, up into apartments, and go for a very quick peak, rather than the much slower peak of, boosting up here or jumping onto van, and it doesn't have the inconsistency of this self-jump, double jump that Tens made famous to peek into apartments. So an interesting situation that most people don't actually know is if that you're holding on top of this chest here, at this angle most people like to hold, you actually can be seen from Underpass without being able to see that player seeing you at all. So if you look like this, as I peek out here, I'm going to be able to see this player with the op before he can see me in any way, shape, or form. There's actually a cool little known angle here on Overpass as well. If you ever smoke off deep connector and you have a lot of space here, you can actually jump onto this spool and then jump up onto this pipe very easily. And with this, you can either be looking in towards short B, or you can wait for people to walk past you from this angle as well. The final interesting play I'll take a look at is that you can actually see through the tarp here into any players in this corner. This is a very commonly held angle, and if you ever see someone sitting here, you can actually see them quite clearly from right back here. You can also extend that across pretty far to pretty much everywhere. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.